everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tech and Beer. We are live again today, back at the Celtic Corner here in sunny Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. That's right, I said sunny, it's summer has arrived, and we're very lucky today. We have an awesome guest, Will Gibson.
Hi.
How's it going?
Very good, thanks.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Will is the VP of Marketing and Amplifier.
Correct.
Right? Yeah, at Maplewave.
That's true.
Based here in Dartmouth or in Halifax,
yes.
But you're based out of Newcastle in England.
Correct. Yes.
So a fellow Brit, I love it.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Well, yeah. Cheers. Pleasure to be here when the sun's shining.
Yes, I'm sure that other times it hasn't been. And we're drinking today. We're drinking a local beer made by Garrison, and it's the Tall Ship. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's very nice. It's kind of like an IPA mixed with a lager, but very refreshing and nice and cold, which helps.
Cold helps
in this weather.
Yes, it does.
So yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah,
I like
awesome.
it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thumbs
We always
up.
like to get the local beers in, right? So it's good to find a nice cool one on a day like today.
Absolutely.
So tell me, Will, what's your background?
So basically, I've been a career retailer since I was kind of year high, following my uncle around in supermarkets in the UK. And I've been in telco specifically since the kind of early 2000s. And now I head up everything marketing and amplifier at Maplewave, which basically means not only do I get to work with one of the coolest new tech brands around the world, based out of a great part of the world in Halifax in Atlantic Canada, and that's the marketing side. But also the amplifier side is something very specific to our business, which sets us apart a little bit really from a tech company who has products and services. We also have a bespoke consulting offering, which we call Amplifier, to make our clients better.
Right.
So I get to talk to telcos around the world, which is what I love and what I've been doing for a long time. And I get to basically help them see the future, find a strategy that fits them for that future, and really help make them better over a long period of time.
Excellent,
so it's really cool.
Excellent. So I don't think I mentioned it, but we're going to be talking a little bit about retail today.
Yeah.
And the future of retail and telcos in retail, and how technology is changing the way that people interact with that retail environment.
Sure.
So that's interesting. That's a good background. And for me, I find retail is a fascinating topic because it's something that we take for granted. We all go into stores every day, buy a wide range of products and services, and for the most part, it's been unchanged for a long time.
Yep.
But it's one of the industries which is really changing fast, and it's got a lot of pressure on it from different areas.
Sure.
So tell me how kind of the work that you do sees those trends and changes that are taking place.
Yeah, I mean, we travel extensively. I've visited more than 70 countries around the world. I've worked in more than 50 of those. So, I get to see what's happening in all parts of the planet. And really, there's nothing from a retail perspective that I haven't seen before. I've seen the best of the best iconic flagships in various parts of the world, from the States to Asia. I've seen the most basic retail, which is still kind of in telco terms, a mom and pop small business, enabling its community to take advantage of telco services, sell SIMs, and so on and so forth. So, we, because we travel so much and we see that, we bring that expertise to our clients, and then we marry that with our platform and our products and services and really help make their business better.
I didn't tell you this earlier, but back in the day, 1997, I had a telco reseller myself. I was an owner in a telco reseller down in Bournemouth, in the UK.
Cool.
So it's that's fascinating though that you've have that global perspective on retail. So are there any differences you see globally, like from one region to another?
Yeah, there are, but there's more commonalities than you might think. So For instance, over the years, I've worked with very big global brands like Vodafone.
Okay.
I spent 3 years working for Vodafone in Russia.
Wow.
Very different culture, a very different...
So the Russian version of this show would be tech and vodka.
Absolutely. And I can tell you a few things about some good vodkas, let me tell you. But Russia, for example, is a kind of a culture that, not many people get to see it. Russia's not renowned for its tourism.
Okay.
But, the parallels between, let's say, walking down Tverskaya Ulitsa in Moscow and walking down, Fifth Avenue in New York are much more common than you'd think. So the art of retail is not lost, it's not going away. Yeah. Despite what some of the press may have you believe, what's going away is bad retail.
Right.
And retail is changing. And even the word retail itself is changing in that now it has a much wider connotation. It used to mean a brick and mortar, a place, a store, somewhere where you would go. Now, with the proliferation of digital and tablets and so on and so forth, we could be sitting here right now and buying things. I could take my cell phone out my pocket and just buy things. That, to me, is retail. Yeah. And often people talk about kind of omni-channel and you've got this channel and you've got this channel. And actually, no, the art of retailing is to procure something, to buy something. So when you think about it now in its wider digital sense, coupled with still the physical, there really are a lot of parallels from most markets around the world that you can draw. Yeah. And it just depends on where that market is in their maturity, what phase they're in, what they're going through, what kind of legislation they might have in that particular country. Yeah. But the human need to be able to buy something or procure something new is pretty universal across cultures, across the globe. And there are certain do's and don'ts. And that perspective that I have helps our clients, find the do's rather than the don'ts.
Excellent. And you said a word there which I think is really important because it's something that a lot of technologies and companies are realizing, and that's the human aspect.
Yes.
And I think as we're seeing trends even from an education perspective where the humanities are becoming the degrees that are becoming more valuable than maybe the technical stuff, because at the end of the day, a lot of the technical processes can be automated.
Correct. And
they're going down the AI route and stuff like that, whereas how that technology interacts with humanity as a whole is becoming more and more important. So that's interesting that you touch on that.
Yeah, no, it's something that we talk about with our clients is, you can introduce tech into a brick and mortar environment, but why are you doing it? The tech should add something. It should add something to the experience for the customer. Or it could add something for you, so it could make transactions faster. For instance, that's one of the core things that we do at Maplewave is we make a complex transaction such as a serialized high-value item in your cell phone or other products, coupled with a very bespoke monthly recurring subscription in your SIM and your package. We take that as a complex transaction and we make it very simple and we make it very fast. And that's what our clients love about us. And that's what, without knowing who we are, our clients' customers love about what we do, and that they can go into their telco retail store and have a very fast transaction.
So that's interesting because so recently with my own personal cell phone contract, I had a situation where I was a little unhappy with Telco A, so I moved to Telco B. Telco A phoned me back and offered me a better deal. So I jumped back, it was too good to refuse, and Telco B wouldn't match it, so okay, see you later. So, but it was really painful. Like the process itself was painful, and even to the point of like picking up the phone and saying, well, how does this work to somebody? And you're like, how can it be taking them so long to find me the answer to this?
A lot of it is down to, if you think about when the telco industry was kind of born in the late 80s, early 90s, in some markets, everything exploded. Handsets became cheap to buy, people were getting connected. Telcos were making a lot of money. And that continued, through the prepaid into the postpaid. People started having monthly plans and so on and so forth. So telcos have had a good run for 20 years more of making very good money. The challenge has been is that recently there's been a slowdown. Devices are better quality now. You buy a device and it doesn't matter if it's from OEM A or vendor B or whatever, they're good quality.
Yeah.
My current device I've had almost 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't need to change it out. So the revenue that telcos are getting from that particular stream has gone.
Yeah.
And what's happened is that the systems on which telco built themselves around, let me talk about how many voice minutes that customer needs and is using. Let me bill that. Let me talk about how many texts they're using. And then came data and so on and so forth. And all those legacy systems that they probably bought 20 years ago and paid millions of dollars for are actually sometimes not relevant in today's age.
Right.
So they need to be able to move fast and have technologies that allow the customer to do business with the telco the way they want. Put the power in the customer's hands, so to speak. And a lot of telcos haven't done that. That's good for us because it's a problem that we solve, and that's, you know, a lot of the parts of our platform. It's what it provides to our clients.
So, are there any differences between the way different generations are looking at purchasing or acquiring or acting in the retail space?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, a lot of this kind of retail is dead phenomena has really come from one market, and that's the States. And if you look at the statistics, one of the things that you'll see is that per capita, the United States has so much more retail space than any other country on the planet.
Wow.
They overbuilt. So, number one, retail is not dead. Number two, people are still telling me that retail is dead, all because of millennials. Young people, they don't want to visit stores, they just want to be alone, they just want to be on their device. It's actually not true. There is a segment who are a little bit like that, and it is some of the early millennials. But the research nowadays around some of the subsequent generations, I'll give you an example. Generation Z is the generation that immediately follows millennials.
Right.
The top end of Generation Z is 25 years old. Now, think about the amount of people on the planet that are aged between 16 and 25 and the purchasing power that they've got.
Yeah.
I can tell you it's over 1 billion people, right?
Wow.
So Generation Z love experiences. They love coming to a place like this with authenticity and history and local beers and an experience, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they want from their telco. They want to go into a telco environment and be entertained.
I would be much happier with my telco if they gave me a beer when I walked in.
Yeah, I mean, telcos can't even do basic things like, you know, you have to sit there for 30 minutes to go through a transaction.
Yeah.
Most of them can't even give you a water or a coffee.
Right.
So to say that kind of, you know, retail is dead is absolutely wrong in my view. It's just changing. And the younger generations are using retail differently. And certainly Generation Z and soon to be Generation Alpha, which is the generation after that, they've got different expectations, you know, they really want more entertainment from their telco.
Yeah, makes sense.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's and experience is what everybody is key about. There's a stat that we use fairly regularly, which is, I think by next year, over 60-something% of organizations will make all of their purchasing decisions based on experience, or the experience that they get as a customer. Yeah. So price, which is always going to be important, but price is not going to be the most important factor pretty soon. Yeah. So it's important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is one of the key concepts that the telcos haven't really grasped is they're enabling and in a lot of cases selling some of the coolest products on the planet. Right. You know, we all have a cell phone. That cell phone can do a variety of different things, from keep us safe to move us from A to B, to help us pay for things, to help us consume videos and content, to games, but telcos don't bring those to life. And there are revenue streams staring telcos in the face in the near future in things like connected home gadgets, IoT, the Internet of Everything, that telcos are just ignoring. And they're not bringing to life what is the possibility of the future enough for their customers, and that is going to be a mistake for them, and they need to rectify that.
So as an application developer, which Maplewave is, correct? How much of that experience is hardware dependent? Because as an application, you've got to two and two, you need to work together, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we pride ourselves on in Maplewave is our platform integrates very well with the other pieces of the puzzle that you need.
Yeah.
You know, we need distribution vendors, we need e-commerce platforms to enable the omni-channel journey to work. But we have the expertise. We figured it out. We figured what the customers need. We know the paths. We know how to get there. Right. In terms of the technology, one of the things that we do to enable the entertainment is we make the transaction fast. We make what could have been and what often still is a 45-minute paper-bound sign here please, sign here please transaction. We make that 50 minutes. We make it digital. You sign with your finger on the tablet to say who you are. You initial here, here and here to say that you agree with these parts of the contract. I don't need a printed contract. Please just email it to me. So we give the telcos that time back. And then what we do through our amplifier process is say to them, let's reinvest that time in educating your customers about the products and services that you want to tell them about. You know, most telcos have some kind of self-care app where the customer can choose to take their plan up or down or ask a question or something like that. But the penetration levels of those apps are so small. And what they haven't done is they've had a new customer in front of them or a recurring customer like you were recommitting, and they haven't said, look, we have this app, let me download it for you, let me show you how it works. If you have any problems in the future, here's where you go. What the telco would do then is have stickability with their customers, entanglement, and by educating their customers on things like that, or maybe a smart light, or maybe a smart speaker for the home, or maybe a new device that its camera can do X instead of Y, then they're really going to build a strong relationship with their customers, and the customer then is not going to go elsewhere. They're going to stay. And that is a big goal of telco clients. They need to retain their customer base, because net new, there's not that many out there, right? Saturated market.
Which leads to another interesting point. So from your perspective, when you look at the telco industry, and you touched on hardware devices earlier. Like, to me, when I look at an iPhone versus an Android, it's what you're used to, right? They've pretty much both got the same functionality now. It's how they do things might be a little different. What's the next step in evolution in that hardware?
So the hardware itself, I think, will continue for a number of years yet. You may see some of the pieces like the folding architecture or small screen becoming big screen and flexibility and so on and so forth. But I think we're still going to have the concept of the device. I think what will change over the next few years is how that device works with the other facets of your life around you that may or may not be connected. So will we see the return of the Google glasses at one point? I think we will, somehow. Will we see hearables or wearables, or maybe haptic sensors in your shoes that connect to Google Maps that say, right, I want to navigate from Celtic Corner to Dartmouth Ferry Crossing, turn left, you know, and this shoe goes. So that's the type of thing that we're going to see. And I think if telcos don't understand the consumer opportunities that are out there, I think they're going to miss a lot of opportunities for the consumer electronics retailers or the OEMs themselves, Apple and the Samsung and whoever else, to really take that relationship lead. And that would be a shame. Because then they become a dumb pipe. And they're all worried about being the next electricity company.
No, that makes sense, And I mean, it's, I think the technology piece probably scares everybody a little bit. It does in lots of industries, because it's, you know, they've seen what's happened to some of the big giants, like this, maybe the Searses and even the Blackberries of the world that haven't adapted fast enough. They get punished, right? So maybe some of them are a little bit more focused on it, but they still don't know what to do.
Absolutely, and this is where I think the telcos, they're not naturally great retailers anyway. And again, I say retail in that wider context. So they're not thinking about, what are my customer journeys for somebody who wants to interact with me only on their device and via self-care? What are my customer journeys with somebody who only wants to come to a retail store and wants to come once a month still to pay their bill and so on and so forth, right? So they're not thinking about how they're going to entertain these customers in the future, but more importantly, educate these customers on the new products and services they want to sell, right? If you don't educate your customers on what it is you're actually offering, then you're in trouble, and there could be a big disconnect there.
So that works well from a retail perspective, a traditional retail perspective. That works well for like maybe the telcos where it's, you know, you buy something and you're tied into a contract.
Yeah.
But what about for, you know, purchases that are one-off? Different type of retail. Maybe telco still a little bit, because you might go in and buy a case. You know, you buy the case, you walk out, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
in theory, you could go into, it doesn't matter if you go into a Bell store or a Rogers store or an Eastlink store. Case is a case. Fits in my phone. Boom.
Yep.
How does it translate to those retail situations where it's one-off purchases?
So again, it's about understanding the lifetime journey of that customer. You know, you start off, you get your device usually, you get your SIM definitely, you connect the two and you're away. But over that lifetime, you may then migrate to fixed home line services, you may migrate to TV services, you may have a need for a one-off purchase like an accessory or a personalized case or something like that. And the fact of the matter is that retail is not going to go away, so telcos have a fixed cost there. And if they don't sweat that fixed cost, that retail store, and if they don't make it as good as it can possibly be, then again, they're losing the mind share of the customer and so on and so forth. So, you know, my point of view is, okay, you have a fixed retail cost, you have to be in Mall X. All of the competitors there, you need to be there. So go there, make sure that you can service your existing customer base, make sure you can welcome them, make sure you have time to teach them new things, and keep upselling them every now and again when it's right. Hard sell's not going to work every now and again, but make sure you're also relevant to your potential customers that are maybe walking on by. Far too often, telcos, what they do is they set their stores up as expensive call centers on the high street. Yeah, they'll do a bit of sales, but they're clogged with service transactions and questions and so on and so forth. And there's a skill to balancing that out, but there's also a skill to saying, yeah, but the point of retail is to be able to promote your wares and to sell, and you actually need to bring in net new customers more than you lose. So, you know, if I'm a Rogers store here in Canada, I want to be actively talking to Telus and Bell and Fido and Eastlink customers, and I want them to come in and say, look at what I've got, it's different, it's better, come see me, I've got time for you, I can show you how to set up Google Home in your home, I can show you how to link that with your smartphone, and so on and so forth. So there's massive opportunities out there.
So with that in mind, paint for me a picture of the perfect retail environment from the high street perspective. I'm walking past, there's a store, what does it look like? What's going to draw me in? And what's it going to be like once I walk in?
Yeah, so there's a lot of activity for a start from the outside. Nothing draws you in like energy. You know, if you imagine being on holiday and you walk down this beautiful sun-kissed street and you see a host of restaurants, and there's a couple of restaurants where there's like nobody inside, and there's one
Give me
that's
2 weeks and I'm gonna
yeah,
be
exactly right. You can say I'm thinking about my holidays too. And there's one that's really kind of buzzing, and there's a maitre d', and they're serving people, and things are happening, and there's waiters bringing food out. Where are you going to go? You're going to gravitate to that place. So the telco store should be the same, and the activity should be around the cool products and services that are happening. So why is there no sound? Why is there no music playing that shows how from your device to your wireless speaker, I have my Spotify account and I'm flicking through my music? Why on the TV screen is there not a TV product that's maybe showing how you can seamlessly move to Netflix and look at the products and services that are available there? So that's definitely happening. There are people who are interested in you when you come in, happy to let you browse this kind of fun emporium of great products and services. But then if you need to do something, Absolutely. Come see us. You're a current customer? Let's come over here at the back. What do you need? Have you got a problem? We'll fix it. Have you got a new need? We'll teach you. So it's about making sure that the customer journeys are well thought through, and the experience in store is a positive and entertaining one.
Now, in other retail environments like clothing or travel, they're playing with things like augmented reality, which has a place in those stores. Does that have a place in retail, in telco?
Yeah, it does. It's a growing feature. We're starting to see these features on the handsets. So if you think about the Google Maps feature where you can follow, I think, the red fox and it shows you where to go around the street. So again, bringing that thing to life, bringing that feature to life. Who does that in a retail store? I can guarantee you, if I was a telco looking to sell Google Pixel devices, which I could be wrong, but I believe there's some kind of exclusivity on that Google Maps feature, actually on the Google devices themselves. If I wanted to sell a whole host of those devices, I would set up an augmented reality station and I would show people, this is what it looks like. Come with me, let's follow the fox.
Right.
Where are we going, right? And I can bet you that people would have come in thinking, I need the Samsung S10, I need the iPhone X. They'd walk out with a Google Pixel.
Yeah.
So it's, again, showing people what's possible, because people don't always know. We live such busy lives nowadays that people do not sometimes have time to learn about, oh, you can do that. I can follow a red fox around. Wow, that's great. I'm never going to get lost again, right? I'm sure you must have done it. You've had some map thing open on your phone and you're kind of turning your phone around, it's spinning, and I'm like, am I going left? Am I going right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What a cool feature, right? So why not bring that to life?
Now, you mentioned a couple of brand names there, so I can't talk about telco without asking you about Huawei.
Yeah, true.
What's your thoughts on that situation? A bit of relevant tech news for the show.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very political. So, putting that aside, I don't know the biases behind what's happening there and why and who's playing what game and so on and so forth. But I think it's sad for the industry because, Huawei have not made themselves into a major force by accident. They struggled for a long time with brand recognition, which on the consumer side was really coming through with a very good set of devices based around photography and some amazing
like a 48
cameras.
megapixel camera or something?
It was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, on the infrastructure side of the business, they've been very good for a long time on their networks and towers and so on and so forth. So I hope that what doesn't happen is a global trade war kind of escalates into something that ultimately pushes prices up for people because the available choice is therefore less. So if country X is precluded from considering this particular type of solution, then that could ultimately push cost up, which will be passed on somehow. So I hope it's sorted out quickly, but it's politics.
Yeah, no, that's you're right. I think it's more about the politics and the technology itself. But,
absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it's they did have a good device, and they do have good devices.
Series of,
and it's I'm sure that they're a big enough company that they're not going away, right? Just because they can't do business in the States or Canada, it's they're going to be.
I think
they're going to be around for a long time.
For sure.
But,
For sure.
Cool. Well, is there anything else that we should know about?
I think one of the things I wanted to talk about was touching back on the Generation Z piece is one of the things I've been talking about as I see my clients around the world, and often I go to a lot of these trade shows, and I feel very honoured. Sometimes I get invited on stage to talk and so on and so forth. So we've been talking about what is next for the telco, what is next in telco retail, looking through the eyes of the newest generation, so Generation Z and Generation Alpha. And there's some big changes and some big opportunities there for telcos that if they start to understand what the young people of today and tomorrow want, they really have some big opportunity to make some changes.
So what do they want that's different from the generations that went before?
So I'll give you a couple of examples. One of them is about brand. Millennials and young people of today have been very kind of socially conscious and really, wanting to reduce single-use plastics and all that type of stuff. Fantastic, ways of helping the world build and helping it become a better place. the younger generations, Generation Z and Generation Alpha, really want to take that a stage further, and they want to really contribute, and they want brands that let them be individual and personal. So brands that allow people to create something specific for themselves. Converse was one example that I gave. You can go on their website and you can design completely a Converse shoe that nobody else in the world has. You know, that level of personalization is something that is the young people of today are very passionate about, and the telcos don't necessarily allow, because it's about rules. Okay, and you know, if I use 10 gigabytes of data a month, but actually I'm traveling for the next month, so I want to dial my plan down to only 2 gig, but I want to add some international roaming because I'm having a trip, then why should that be difficult? Why should I have to call somebody and explain in detail what I'm going to do? Why can the telco not allow me to personalize my own subscription and make it easy, right? So there's a lot of lessons that I think the telcos can learn about the future, about their consumer business, by looking at the 2 youngest generations. So that's one of the things that we've been talking about, and we're actually releasing a white paper and a video of me on stage in London at a customer experience event. So we're going to make that available through our website and social channels very soon. So that's something that we're very passionate about. And you know, telcos, I think when they hear that story, a lot of them kind of quietly go, yeah, we should talk more. So it's a great way for me to get to know my clients a lot better.
So your platform at Maplewave enables telcos to do all of what you just described?
Yeah, it enables them to be very flexible. It enables them to put the power in the hands of the customer, so that the customer can choose themselves. We call it transact anywhere. So if they, like I said before, if the customer wants to transact only using their device, they can. If they want to come into a retail store, they can, but they're not going to be hit with 20 pieces of paper and a 45-minute wait time and so on and so forth. You know, if a customer goes to a retail store and the device that they want is out of stock, then they're going to get the option of having it delivered next day from the warehouse. Or if the warehouse is out of stock, let me find a store nearby that's got it. And do you know what? I'm not going to send you over there. I'm not going to send you on the ferry from Dartmouth to Halifax to get it. I'll deliver it to you next day. I'll deliver it from that store in Halifax to your house. So that's the type of thing that we do and the journeys that we enable. And as I say, our clients love us for it. We're growing. And our clients' customers, even though they don't know us, they love us for it too.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on today.
And thanks for the beer.
Yeah, no problem.
It's
Cheers
absolutely
again.
lovely, this one.
It's, again, on a hot day, and there's nothing better, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, guys, for watching. It's been a good episode. It's always interesting to learn something new about how technology is changing a particular industry or sector. And yeah, it's been good. Tune in next time. Remember to follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. And we're also on Apple Podcasts, iTunes now, although it's not called iTunes anymore, it's just Apple Podcasts. But yeah, thanks very much, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.